Hello everyone. Please let us solve this question from bearing and distances, okay? I will make it very easy and understandable for you. Just pay attention and watch to the end, all right? Let's go on board. A boat sails 6 kilometers from a port X on a bearing of 065 degrees and thereafter 13 kilometers on a bearing of 136 degrees. Then what is the distance and the bearing of the boat from port X? Okay, as you can see from the question, we have a starting point, and that starting point is port X. The starting point where this boat takes off is from port X. So let us position the port X. Here is the position of the port X. And this boat now takes off from this port X with an angle or a bearing of 065 degrees. Now, remember that from here to here is 90 degrees. Then 065 degrees will fall here immediately after the half of this, because half of it is 45. So after the half of it, we now have our this boat now takes off from port X. Remember port X, and sails 6 kilometers and sails 6 kilometers from a 6 kilometers from a bearing of 065. So let's say that the 065 is somewhere here and sails 6 kilometers. So the bearing is 65 degrees, okay? Now, when it reaches 6 kilometers, this boat now changes direction to move another side, okay? It changes direction, and the direction it changes is 136 degrees. Thereafter, the boat now moves 13 kilometers on a bearing of 135. So it changes direction, it changes the bearing to 135. We now get our four cardinal point, okay? So this is where it changes the direction. Remember that we take our direction from north side moving clockwise to get 136. Now, it now change its direction from moving from north and move clockwise 90 degrees, okay, here, and move down. You cannot reach here because to this place is 180, because here is 90 again. So now you now get, what will we get to complete this 90 to 136, okay? Now 90, 136 minus 90 remaining 46 degrees. So 46 degrees will be immediately after half of this, because half of this quadrant here is 45. So we'll now move it to immediately after half of it, which is 136. So from here to here now is 136, and it moves 13 kilometers. Now before stopping, okay, it now stops here. Let us get our four cardinal point again here. Okay, this is where the boat stopped. Then the question now asks us, what is the distance of this boat from port X? What is the distance of this boat here now from port X? That means from here to here. And also the bearing of this boat now, the bearing of it from this port X, that the bearing will be from here, the bearing of it from port X, okay? Now let us complete our drawing. So we have now completed the drawing. We have now completed the drawing. The question now asking us the distance from here to here. Let us name it A. Let us name the distance A, and also the bearing from this point. So the bearing from this point will now start from here to meet the line. Okay. So from here to here is what they are asking us. All right. Okay. Now let us continue solving. Now, all these four quadrants, they are in parallel lines. This is parallel to this, and these are parallel to this. Okay, so we will make use of alternate angle to get some of the angles we need here to enable us solve for this. Okay, so if you look at this now, if you look at this diagram now, we now have alternate angle from here. Since this line is parallel to this, and this line here has formed a transversal line, if you check it, we will now see we can now get Z angle here. Letter Z angle. This has formed letter Z. Okay, look at it, letter Z angle. So that this side will be equal to this side. Reason alternate angle. So here will be 65 degrees as this place because of alternate angle. Okay. Remember that this angle here to here is 136 degrees. All right. So remember that from here to here is 180. Okay. And we have already 136. So the angle that will remain here is 180 minus 136 to enable us to get this angle here. And what we will have here now is 44 degrees. And when we add all of them together, okay, we now have 109 degrees. We now have 109 degrees as angle that will be here. All right. Remember that we are looking for this distance. They are asking us this distance. Okay. So since we have gotten this angle, to get the distance will be easy for us. Let us use cosine rules, which I have treated already on this page or channel. Okay, watch those videos, you know. So using the cosine rule to solve for the distance here, to now be a square equals to 6 square plus 13 square minus 2 times the 2 side, which is 6 times 13 cos 109. Okay, now let us move ahead. 6 square is what? 36 plus 13 squared is what? 169 minus 2 times 6 times 13 is 156 cos of 109 is what? Minus 0.33. Okay, now let us continue. A square equals to this plus this is 208, right? 205 minus times minus is plus, then 156 times 0.33 will give us what? 50.8. okay, 50.8. Now when we add the 50.8, what do we have? When we add 205 plus 50.8, what do we have? We now have 255.8. okay, now finding the square root of both sides. The square root of both sides, so now find the answer to A, 255.8. When we take the square root of 255.8, what will now be the answer? 15.99, which is approximately 16 kilometer. So 16 kilometer is this distance they are asking us. Now let us find the bearing. So finding this bearing, we have already 65 here. So what do we do here? We need to find this angle inside. After finding the angle inside, let us name it T, angle T. After finding the angle inside, it will now enable us to add it to this one, then we get the bearing. Okay, now let us solve it using sine rule. Okay, let me I use cosine rule in the other one. Now I'll use sine rule to remind you of those formulas. I've treated it on this page. Okay, now sine rule says that sine of this angle we have known, which is 109, all over the side we have calculated, which is 16, is equals to this side we are looking for, sine t, all over the side we are looking for, all over the side, sine t, all over the side facing it, okay, which is 13. And when we do cross multiply, we now have sine t times 16 to be 16 sine t equals to sine 109 times 13, which will now have 16 sine t equals to sine 109. Sine 109 is 0.95 times 13, which is equals to, when you multiply it by 13, 12.3 approximately, okay. Making this sine t subject of formula, I now have sine t equals to 12.3 over 16. And when we divide over this 16 to make sine t subject of formula, and when we divide the value by 16, have 0.77. All right. Now making t subject of formula, which is the angle we are looking for, to now be t equals to sine inverse, okay, in bracket 0.77, which when we find the sine inverse of 0.77, what do we have? 50.4 degrees, okay. So the answer that will be here is 50. The answer that the angle that will be here is 50.4 degrees. Now let us find the bearing. The bearing now from port X will now be equals to 65 plus 50.4, which will now give us 115.4 degrees. That is the bearing they are asking us, okay. That is the bearing of this boat from port X, okay. That is how to calculate it, all right. Thank you so much for watching to the end, okay. May God bless you. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on that, and follow or subscribe. God bless.